Well, look, there's no official figures out there in terms of actual registered users on Google Plus that are actually using it every single day. Google itself doesn't release the stats. And as we all know, Google is trying its best to kind of force Google Plus onto as many people as possible. They recently acquired a new company called Nest for $3.2 billion, which does home devices and home automation. So, I mean, I'd like to think Google wants you to register for Google Plus before accessing your fridge in the future. Basically, they want to create a massive data set in order to serve targeted ads. And an interesting thing about Google Plus is that the more they try to bring people onto Google Plus, the less cool it becomes. And the more people actually push back against that. And because of that, I don't think we're seeing a lot of usage. In South Africa, we pinned the active users at about 500,000 in September, which isn't much. The registered account is obviously in the millions, because anyone with a Gmail or a YouTube account will be a Google Plus user, but they're not actively using it. If you look at the top brands in South Africa and look at their Google Plus usage, a lot of them syndicate content from elsewhere. They just copy and duplicate it. And the engagement on that content isn't doing that well. So I think in terms of raw numbers, Google Plus is still a bit of a ghost town. There are niche circles of technology and photography that are performing pretty well. So it's not completely dead. So if you operate in niches like that, you can find some success. But right now, we still have to wait and see. An interesting thing about Google Plus is that there's no advertising on Google Plus. You can't have an advertised post on Google Plus. It's ad-free, which I find it quite interesting. But Google Plus did recently release something called Plus Posts, I believe, which allows you to push a Google Plus post anywhere on the web, on the Google network. So it's almost like you're using the Google ad network to push content out. And that might be a very interesting driver for the future. Where instead of serving advertising on an ad network, you serve content on an ad network. And that might actually hook people in. You know, imagine viewing a publisher site like News24, and all of a sudden you have a Google Plus post that's actually an interesting piece of content. It might actually increase the engagement in the future.